Before we go to the interview, who are disabled people exactly? Disabled people are those who experience physical, intellectual, mental, or sensory limitations in the long term, which affect their ability to carry out their daily activities. The Ministry of Social Affairs stated on their official website that according to a survey held by BPS in 2020, approximately 5% of people who live in Indonesia are living with their disabilities. Therefore, there is a chance that we have met or interacted with them at least once. There is also a definition by UU Nomor 8 Tahun 2016 which says that disabled people are the ones who experience physical, intellectual, mental, and/or sensory limitations for a long period of time that may cause them hindrances and difficulties while interacting with their environment and effectively participating with the rest of the population based on equal rights. In addition to those definitions, we also have the definitions based on our informants. So, according to them, disabled people are people who have long-term physical, intellectual, mental, and/or sensory limitations, but are not subject to underestimation and discrimination, since they are still capable of living their own lives. After getting to know some of the definitions of disabled people, we want to elaborate the reasons why the social problem occurs. So the first factor is temperament. Previous research indicates that there is a continuity in the development of personality traits from early childhood until adulthood. Personality traits of children at an early age are shown to be positively correlated with what they exhibit as adults. Additionally, these personality traits can also determine a person's beliefs, attitudes, and behavior. When children who have indecisive and rigid personalities grow up, there is a chance that they will support conservative views and resist change as adults. This includes conservative views of people with disabilities, which view them as unhealthy, defective, and deviant, and they would resist changes such as an increase in accessible facilities for the disabled. Relatedly, parental influences are also a factor that can influence this perception. Previous research found that there are inconsistent findings on the relation between parents' and children's views on people with disabilities, but most have reported that there is positive correlation. Parents are able to communicate their beliefs and opinions towards certain topics, or even display their attitudes towards certain things to their children. This may shape the child's views and way of thinking. Additionally, the children's age can also affect their attitudes. Younger children are less likely to really understand what their parents' beliefs and attitudes imply. However, when a child is older, they may be more vulnerable to their parents' beliefs and attitudes. Another factor is empathy and sympathy. Both of these are vital for the development of one's pro-social behavior, social competence, and moral reasoning. Empathy is known as the capability to feel and understand another person's state of emotion, while sympathy is the emotional response to another person's troublesome situation, which may come in the form of pity or concern. Previous research found that a child's development of empathy stems from their parents' ability to be empathetic of the child's emotions. When parents are empathetic towards their children by acts including parental warmth and responsiveness, it positively affects the children's empathy and sympathy levels along with their pro-social tendencies. With a higher empathy level, children are more likely to understand others' feelings and try their best to help. On the other hand, a lower level empathy may yield aggressive behavior and tendencies to bully others. It is worth noting that all the factors discussed are related to one's upbringing, which really shows that one's surrounding plays a critical role in how one perceives people with disabilities.
After knowing that disabled people are being underestimated by society, we want to know more about their view of society itself, and that is why we chose this topic for our project. So the method that we use is an in-depth interview, which is an open-ended, discovery-oriented method to obtain detailed information about the topic from a stakeholder. In-depth interviews are a qualitative research method. Their goal is to explore in-depth a respondent's point of view, experiences, feelings, and perspectives. In order to build social inclusion and raise our awareness in this matter, we had an interview session with Bapak R and Ibu S who have movement limitation yet are still active in their careers in their respective fields. Within this session, we would like to clear any misunderstandings or misconceptions that may exist in our society. Before jump to the interview, here is the criteria that we're looking for in our informants. As we stated in the beginning, we have two informants, which are Ibu S and Bapak R. Why we choose them? Besides from being suitable with our criteria, we choose to interview Ibu S because aside from being a disabled person, she also owns a foundation, which means she constantly surrounded by people in similar situation. Not only that, she has a broader perspective of how the general public perceives people with disabilities. And we choose to interview Bapak R because unlike Ibu S, he grew up with more diverse surroundings, not being around people with similar situations. Having such an upbringing, it can bring us a different perspectives from Ibu S.
Kalau untuk lingkungan ya, para disabilitas itu memang apa ya? Kalau yang Ibu rasakan itu, kalau yang belum benar-benar tahu masyarakat apa sih disabilitas itu, bagaimana sih kehidupan disabilitas itu memang kayaknya di mata mereka itu kayaknya kita itu hina. Tapi kalau memangnya sebagian besar sudah banyak yang tahu disabilitas itu bagaimana, disabilitas itu apa, mereka udah banyak yang tahu, itu biasa-biasa aja. Tapi memang kalau yang belum tahu, terutama ya masih di pelosok-pelosok itu kan belum tahu tentang disabilitas. Apalagi kalau kita sebutannya disabilitas. Apaan sih disabilitas? Dia taunya orang, maaf kata, cacat, pincang kan gitu. Itu kalau di pelosok-pelosok masih banyak yang awam masalah disabilitas. Kalau untuk di kota Jakarta ini udah seluruh, bahkan anak-anak kecil pun kalau udah ngelihat disabilitas udah terbiasa dia. Gitu sih yang Ibu tahu ya, karena Ibu juga disabilitas juga.
Oh, Pak, penting, itu penting. Dia kan membawa opini sebenarnya, mengarahkan opini. Contoh yang paling gampang gini, dia memposisikan orang. Dia menghargai disabilitas atau tidak. Contohnya kalau saya parkir, oh ini ada area parkir disabilitas atau ada fasilitas disabilitas, itu misalnya di hotel atau apa. Itu kan mengarahkan ya sebenarnya, penghargaan dia ke disabilitas. Itu kan pembelajaran orang-orang biasa ke arah menghargai disabilitas.
Ibu sering nonton di TV itu memang kejamnya dunia atau kejamnya kehidupan itu memang pasti ada ya. Tapi janganlah, udah banyak contoh-contohnya disabilitas, terutama perempuan pelecehan. Ibu kadang-kadang miris hati juga ya, kenapa udah disabilitas tapi banyak contohnya diperkosa, dianiaya, kan gitu banyak ya. Ibu tuh miris ya, kenapa harus disabilitas, jangan, bukan disabilitas juga jangan lah gitu ya. Jadi bisa apa, ngelawan nggak bisa, berontak nggak bisa, ya jadi sekedarnya hanya pasrah aja gitu. Kemana hati nurani mereka yang jahat-jahat itu gitu loh. Disabilitas itu dianggapnya kayaknya rendah, nggak bisa apa-apa gitu. Padahal udah ada undang-undangnya loh disabilitas itu. Dari tahun 2016 undang-undang disabilitas itu udah turun ya. Tapi kenapa masih aja? Ya mungkin itu bukan di Jakarta ya. Kalau di Jakarta memang udah ketat, udah ada undang-undangnya, itu udah tahu mereka semua. Mungkin itu di daerah-daerah yang masih awam tentang disabilitas.
Personal kegiatan saya sehari-hari nggak ada itu gitu lah. Karena saya di banyak kegiatan juga nggak ada yang membedakan. Mungkin lebih ke ini aja kali ya, lebih ke facility kalau di acara kegiatan tuh, karena ada yang saya nggak bisa gitu. Tapi kalau orang membedakan sih nggak, malah mereka lebih respect ke saya. Mungkin cara kalangannya beda kali ya. Kalau saya kalangannya udah lebih terpelajar mungkin ya. Nggak tahu ya kalau kalangan yang lain ya. Mungkin mereka karena nggak pernah ketemu aja kali ya, nggak pernah lihat, melihatnya aneh gitu. Di setiap kegiatan yang saya ikutin, misalkan dan di kementerian ataupun di mana, nggak ada masalah.
Yang kurang nyamannya itu kalau kita misalkan contohnya kita lagi jalan, itu rasanya diperhatiin mulu. Padahal dia hati baiknya dia timbul, cuman kasihan. Tapi kan yang disabilitas itu nggak perlu dikasihani. Ya, zaman sekarang disabilitas tuh kalau dikasihani itu emangnya apa sih, pengemis atau apa gitu. Nggak semua disabilitas tuh orang susah. Semua rata-rata kebanyakan disabilitas itu ya orang yang benar-benar disayang Allah lah ya. Itu udah hidupnya udah kaya, bukan berarti kayak kehidupan kayak harta kayak apa, kayak disayang orang kayak gitu aja sih. Gue juga nggak mau ini sebutannya kasihan nih, misalkan Bu Sita kasihan amat sih Bu jalannya kayak gitu. Loh, kenapa yang harus dikasihani? Karena dia melihat ibu jalan rasanya risih gitu. Kalau dia kan jalan sempurna, kalau ibu kan jalan ya namanya disabilitas, goyang-goyang gitu, mungkin kerisihan dia melihatnya kali ya. Gitu. Jadi dia timbul rasa kasihan. Sebenarnya sih nggak ada kasihan, udah terbiasa jalannya.
Yang nggak nyaman ya, itu aja mungkin. Jadi kalau misalnya kita datang ke suatu lingkungan, entah itu restoran, mall ataupun pertokoan atau apalah something gitu, itu ya mungkin mereka mengantisipasi aja, melihat bahwa gimana, oh gitu ya. Tapi karena tidak kenal kan sebetulnya, nah itu akan berbeda atau berubah setelah mereka kenal gitu loh. Jadi mereka setelah mulai berinteraksi, baru mereka nggak berpikir lagi seperti itu.
Ibu ini pemilik yayasan disabilitas juga ya. Ada senangnya, ada dukanya gitu ya. Kalau lagi sedang senang-senang kumpul, malah bareng-bareng mereka, jadi satu sama lain tahu kebutuhan mereka apa yang dia derita, dia curhatkan, semua diomongkan, kita jadi tahu kan. Itu kalau dukanya, kasihannya kalau mereka yang memang orang yang tidak mampu harus bilang, Bu, ini dapat apa? Saya tuh memang lagi butuh, saya nggak punya apa-apa di rumah, tolong bantu Bu. Itu timbul saya jadi pemikirannya gini, harus kemana, saya harus mengajukan proposal. Pemerintah itu kan sekedar ngasihnya hanya sekali, kadang sekali kan. Sementara kalau di yayasan ini, disabilitas ini, memerlukannya itu sebulan sekali, bahkan bisa seminggu sekali. Kebutuhan, contohnya kebutuhan makan bahan pokok ya gitu. Ya ibu kan kadang-kadang suka bingung, kemana ibu harus nyari denatur kan gitu. Sementara anggota di sini kan udah banyak. Pasti setiap hari telepon, apalagi di zamannya bulan puasa kayak gini ya. Ibu ada sembako nggak? Nah ibu bingung deh tuh, mau harus gue jawab apa. Ibu bilang, belum, sabar ya, nanti juga ada kalau itu dikasih tahu gitu. Dukanya seperti itu.
Mungkin kalau masalah menolong saya nggak terlalu suka ya. Artinya gini, baru saya berpikir bahwa saya bisa. Memang banyak sih ada orang, oh ya sini Pak, enggak, saya bilang enggak, saya bisa. Mungkin juga saya lupa nih, saya ada teman juga di satu lagi dosen di, nah, itu juga sama tuh pemikirannya. Jadi dia juga sama seperti saya gitu ya, disabilitas. Ya lebih kepada ingin ini aja, ingin eksis gitu ya, menunjukkan bahwa kita juga bisa gitu, tidak direndahkan dan tidak juga apa ya, diremehkan gitu ya. Mungkin orang-orang berpikir bahwa ini mau ditolong, tapi mungkin ada hal-hal yang saya nggak perlu tolong gitu ya, jadi saya bisa lakukan sendiri gitu.
Sekarang ini masyarakat itu udah cukup bantu baik ya. Contohnya kalau di jalan itu, contohnya tunanetra itu kan udah ada jalan bloknya kan, jalan-jalan itu. Paling masyarakat kalau melihatnya kali membantu untuk memegang tangan aja, untuk ngasih arahan ini loh blok jalannya gitu. kalau kursi roda untuk nyebrang, mungkin mereka yang harus nyebrangin. Dan lagi juga sekarang ini udah banyak halte-halte busway yang akses untuk disabilitas, jadi nggak perlu juga kadang orang ya itu juga kepedulian mereka sih, kadang juga ya kita nggak memaksakan mereka harus tolong dong bantu, nggak, itu kepedulian mereka masing-masing. Kalau untuk bantuan itu tergantung disabilitasnya. Kalau kita disabilitas daksa itu, contohnya kalau kita mau dibantu untuk pegangan ya, yang ngebantu itu jangan megang disabilitasnya, jangan, justru disabilitasnya yang megang, yang membantu gitu. Dia akan nanya, Bu, perlu bantuan? Oh iya, tolong dek, contohnya ibu deh naik kereta, tolong dek bantu ibu naik, tapi ibu harus megang dia, bukannya dia yang megang ibu, nanti ibu nggak bisa bergerak gitu.
Referring to Ibu S interview, in Indonesia, there is a law of disabilities by Law Number 8, 2016, and it says the rights of persons with disabilities as inseparable from the equal rights of all the members of the human family, including the access to employment opportunities. Referring to Bapak R's interview, that the media held an important role in defining disabled people. And according to the National Human Rights Commission, also known by Komnas HAM, there are only 89 disability issues reported by the media, despite the media itself playing an important role in defining disabilities. The International Labour Organization, ILO, in their guidelines for recovering disabilities in Indonesia, or Panduan Peliputan Disabilitas di Indonesia, explains that the media can erase misunderstandings and myths that the public may have of people with disabilities.
Next, we are going to see how media defines disabilities. As seen above, suaramerdeka.com uses the word penderita or sufferer along with cacat. These words are not only insensitive, but the words along with the overall title also create a negative stereotype that people with disabilities are of less value, helpless, and are a burden. By such a portrayal, the public may be overprotective and overhelp where it is unnecessary, but also may lead to discriminative acts that cause disabled people to be prone of losing their rights. In television, most of them are underrepresented and misrepresented disabilities people. They build society's stereotype that disabilities is an object that is sad and need a pity, object of curiosity, mean or cunning, object of inspiration, laughing object, society's burden, or as an asexual creature. But on the other hand, there are also reportings that are more positive and actually spotlight how the development for inclusivity in Indonesia is inadequate. By doing such, the public will be more moved to include facilities for people with disabilities. In addition, it uses proper terms that are not insensitive. Additionally, here is the WHO perspective in 1980. The concept of individuals with disabilities is separated into three categories: impairment, disability, and handicap. Impairment term refers to a loss or anomaly that might be psychological, physiological, or anatomical structure and function problems. Disability is defined as inability to carry out a certain activities as a normal person as a result of a medical condition that causes impairment. Handicap in the case of disabilities is described as difficulties in one's personal, family, and communal life as well as the socio-economic and psychological areas that one experiences as a result of the abnormality. However, disabled people in Indonesia is also doing normal activity, like go to school with facilities that are available for them. In education, for example, disabled people has access to school and university because every year, school and university are accepting students with special need. They must have services that are accessible according to the variety of existing disabilities. Also, in social aspects, the Ministry of Social Affairs made a program called Program Indonesia Mendengar, which aims to provide access to information and communication, especially for persons with disabilities who are blind and deaf. Moving on to the action intended to solve this social problem, the Indonesian National Consortium for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities makes the following suggestion in this regard. First, the principles of the CRPD Convention on the Right of Persons with Disability and the articles contained in the CRPD must be referenced and directed by all national policies and regulations, as well as programmed in national development, specifically in giving satisfaction, promotion, and protection of people's rights. Second, within the territory of the Negara Kesatuan Republik Indonesia or NKRI, there are also persons with disabilities who have the same right in accessing many spheres of life. As a result, the Indonesian government is required to offer adaptive and accessible services as individuals with disabilities, independent, and social engagement. If the third is efforts to realize that defend the rights of people with disabilities must be coordinated by all stakeholders, including ministries and departments at the national and regional levels, as well as cross-sectoral efforts from the private sector, government, organization, and society. Fourth, the existence of disability rights mainstreaming or the mainstreaming of disabled people's rights in development program planning and financing at the national and regional levels. Last, involve the involvement and participation of people with disabilities as active actors in the development process in Indonesia, both at the national and regional levels,